Ladies and gentlemen, these three words itself is full of irony and hypocrisy. Why? Because men address themselves as gentlemen, putting the word ladies ahead of their salutation is kind of commendable if you think about it. But to me, men are also the same reason why women, for the most part, cannot be equals in society, be able to participate and flourish in the field that they are good at. It's kind of something that baffles my mind for a long time. This is the 21st century, not the Victorian era. There's no such thing as male dominant society or male supremacy anymore. Women are already more than capable to be equal or, and in some cases, even better than men, to be fair. So I'm here to urge the women to please continue to demand for your rights, because as much as we would like to stand and help you all to achieve the better equality, women must continue to demand more to make a louder voice altogether. So first of all, I'll say, why am I here? Why am I supporting the idea of equality? Because personally for me, I see the entire idea of equality is not about girls attending school and women getting the workforce, and that's it. To me, the two main matrices of this is that women must be able to sustain themselves for life, be it for two major factors, one for livelihood and one for safety. Livelihood will be obviously income, and also safety. So I must first start by talking about safety, because no one can disregard this from our main concern, right? So home. Home is literally just a house where you have your interactions with your family members and all. You're supposed to feel safe in this environment. You're supposed to feel no stress, less stress, and feel more peace and tranquility with people that you love the most. Sadly, that's not always the case. According to UN Women's statistics, 2 out of 5 women are experiencing domestic violences at home, literally being the sandbag of being beaten up by aggressive family members only because of their hot temper and whatsoever related to it. This means wives, uh, potentially the daughters, and also domestic workers like maids and cleaners at home are beaten up by aggressive family members as a way to vent out anger. And because they were beaten up so much, they became vulnerable to successive or continuous abuse that they cannot find a way to escape or sought help of, which is really bad. And fortunately, it wasn't happening to many people, but it was a significant portion that needs to be rectified this issue. Knowing that most of this issue is not happening to all the women on earth, thank God. I really hope that this issue of domestic violence is getting less and lesser in society. But the ones that are getting more prevalent is the ones in the workplace. One of it is sexual harassment. According to the Times of India, 63% of female employees say that their office has no way to tackle sexual harassment cases. So approximately two-thirds of the time, a male employee can just touch their butt or cross the line in certain aspects, and they will not be charged with any serious crimes or anything, or not even being acknowledged by the superior as a problem at all. This causes normalizing of this kind of sexual harassment in the workplace, which makes working for women in this kind of environment obviously uncomfortable and also kind of risky, because it pertains to their dignity and also safety. And if you think that that wasn't bad enough, notice that even though the pay gap has been narrowing, at this point of time in 2021, men are still making approximately 19.5% on average more than women for the same job. Talk about same qualifications, talk about same position and also skill set. Men still earn approximately one-fifth more than women. And if any of your audiences there nod your head and say that this is completely fine, this is equality to me, please, you have to go out more. This is obviously not equality. And for those that shake your head to this realization that women are still suppressed by men in a lot of fields, I would like to shake your head. But sadly, we couldn't because of COVID. We had to social distance. So I'm going to say this. Women's security, I will reiterate, women's security is not a joke. Women's security is not a joke. And to know that we can still make a difference, it is actually great. Zig Ziglar once said that the best time to do something significant is between yesterday and tomorrow. If we don't start to change status quo today, when are we going to do the progress? So to change something as ridiculous as the status quo that oppresses women, first we have to acknowledge the ridiculous stereotypes. So some stigmas that exist across the world that are still persisting in first to third world countries, even though it's derogatory, I should say. Some like women should just remain in the kitchen, and women should just take care of the kids at home, or women should not speak up against men. It's some of the stigmas that still remain within the society, and I personally say screw that. Women have tried their best to fend off this kind of stigmas for too long, so we as men must step up to help them as well. Men must help to accept women as equals first. Then only we can talk about other efforts to integrate them into the more equal society that we dream to have. The second step is to obviously revise the hypocrisy on gender. The current norm is obviously kind of saying that every successful man has a woman behind him. It's kind of signaling that women can only do as well as being behind a man, which is obviously wrong in the today's context. And how media has been misconstruing feminism as toxic behavior among women to demand a bit too much against status quo. It's being refuted by Michelle Hay in her article in Sedgwick.com that says that actually it's a good thing to demand for this kind of changes in status quo to protect women's rights in every single way possible. And we, as a community, must be able to say men and women must stand hand in hand, shoulder to shoulder, eye to eye, and tackling this kind of gender issue, narrowing the gender gap for everyone's benefit. I guess no one can say that gender is going to affect the development of society. It will only diversify and make it a lot more better for the future that's coming. Paraphrasing Malala Yousafzai, she said that her reason to raise up her voice is not because she wanted to shout. She wanted to just bring up the rights of those that are not heard enough or not heard at all. And she also pointed out what I said earlier, that we cannot all succeed if half of us are held back. If half of the population is not given the opportunity to shine, it's just going to be the same status quo for the time to come. So we must start the change today. Women's security is not a joke. I have said this across this presentation a long time. So I only can say that I am optimistic that the day of true equality will be upon us very soon. Women's security is not a joke and will never be a joke, because I personally will stand to protect our fellow women and give them the equality that they deserve. Will you? And as always, thanks for listening.